The mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has once again made headlines by publicly urging people to take to the streets in protest during President Donald Trump's visit to the UK. His call for mass demonstrations has reignited debates about his leadership and priorities, drawing both support and criticism from across the political spectrum. While Khan has been vocal about his opposition to Trump, many have pointed out a glaring inconsistency in his activism. Despite his willingness to rally people against a foreign leader, he has not issued similar calls for protest against some of the most heinous crimes committed on British soil, such as the widespread and deeply disturbing grooming gang scandals that have devastated communities across the UK. Victims and their families have long sought justice, yet Khan and other officials have often remained silent or taken minimal action. This stark contrast has led many to question where his true concerns lie. In today's video, we'll be watching and reacting to this footage, breaking down Khan's statements and discussing the wider implications of his words. But before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we have new Liber t-shirts available on our website. You can check the link in the description or go to britishstand.com. Have a watch of this.
No, I think we're living in unprecedented times. In my adult life, I've not seen what I've seen in the last few years. Russia invading Georgia, annexing Crimea. 3 years ago, again illegally invading Ukraine. What does Russia want? Russia wants the USA to be disentangled from Europe, to leave NATO. Russia's pleased we've left the European Union, and so I welcome what Keir Starmer's doing as our Prime Minister, being really close to Europe and the EU, and being really close to USA as well. And I accept when the government says it's in the national interest for President Trump to have a state visit. Me personally, look, my views on President Trump in his second term haven't changed, and I'm sure you'll see when President Trump comes to the UK, Londoners and Brits exercising our right of freedom of speech and freedom of protest and letting our views be known.
You didn't want him to come last time round?
Well, I think my views on President Trump are known by everybody. They've not changed in his second term. And unlike the views of Vice President J.D. Vance, we do in fact have free speech in this country, which includes the right to protest. And I expect you'll see Londoners and those across the country letting their views be known loud and clear if and when President Trump comes.
This is how people reacted. This user said, he obviously didn't notice the crowds of Londoners cheering when the election result came in. Heather said, the lack of sophistication of this man manifests itself in so many different ways. We are accustomed to much higher standards by those who respect correct protocol rather than cheap backstreet tactics. This user said, shame on Khan disrespecting the President of America. This user said, we are not interested in what he thinks of Trump. He has no authority to attack the leader of a very major country. This user said, London doesn't belong to him, and since when did he make national policy? London would be much better off if they protested against him and forced him out. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. In other news, Kemi Badenoch faces a threat far bigger than Nigel Farage as the reform fallout steals the spotlight. While Conservative headquarters look on with glee at the civil war ripping apart Reform UK news, has been heard from internal Blue Wall Tories, who have long feared a threat even larger than Nigel Farage. Kemi Badenoch is facing a crunch moment on May 1st, with the Tories defending 974 council seats across England. Despite Rupert Lowe's suspension over bullying allegations, Reform UK still poses a lethal threat to the right of the Tory party, as Farage sets his sights on building momentum ahead of the next general election. Conservative insiders fear the threat from the Liberal Democrats in the Remain voting shires is being underpriced. The threat in the south isn't mainly from Farage or Reform, a senior Tory source told the People's Channel. It's from the Liberal Democrats. They've got a base and it's currently bigger than Reform's. Disaster for Badenoch could spell trouble for the Tory leader, with opinion polls also showing a slump in support since the Conservative Party's abysmal showing in the 2024 general election. Would you be alarmed of major political shift turning the tables this early on? Share your views in the comments below. Two-tier justice rulings have praised Black Lives Matter, a total insult to the UK. Members of the Quango behind controversial two-tier justice rules previously praised the Black Lives Matter movement and Insulate Britain protesters, it has been revealed. Under new guidelines drawn up by the Sentencing Council, judges are told they should normally consider issuing pre-sentence reports on ethnic minority offenders. The guidance, set to come into force from April, has sparked fierce criticism from politicians who claim it creates a two-tier justice system. Former Home Secretary Suella Braverman described the approach as a total perversion of justice, equality, and fairness. Shadow Justice Secretary Robert Jenrick has vowed to legally challenge the guidance, claiming it enshrines anti-white and anti-Christian bias in the criminal justice system. Beverly Thompson OBE, one of the advisors on the Sentencing Council, has previously claimed the British criminal justice system is beleaguered by the overrepresentation of BAME people. She suggested the system suffers from systemic racism and racial inequality. In a foreword to a Prison Reform Trust report in 2021, Thompson wrote, "Through the efforts of Black Lives Matter, BLM, organizations have clamored to pledge their commitment to identify, address, and to eradicate systemic racism and racial inequality. The Black Lives Matter movement is important. It shines a light on the disparity of treatment of black people compared to other ethnicities," she stated. Judge Stephen Leake, another council member, once told Insulet Britain protesters, "I have heard your voices. They have inspired me, and personally, I intend to do what I can to reduce my own impact on the planet." Joanna Robinson, appointed to the council in 2023, has spoken about real allyship and appeared to participate in an anti-racist counter-demonstration during the summer riots following the Southport killings. The guidelines were based partly on the 2017 Lammy Review, led by current Foreign Secretary David Lammy when Labour were in opposition. The review found widespread racial discrimination in the criminal justice system and recommended greater use of pre-sentence reports. Justice Secretary Shabana Mahmood has threatened to overrule the Sentencing Council, writing to its chairman Lord Justice William Davis to express her displeasure. "I do not stand for differential treatment before the law like this," she stated. Mahmood has pledged to change the law through the sentencing bill if necessary. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch said her party would back Mahmood if she changes the law. The guidelines are set to come into force on April 1st. World War II, bomb found near Eurostar train track, causing major disruptions. A passenger said she didn't know what to do when she arrived at St Pancras International Station this morning to find that her train had been cancelled after a bomb was discovered. Eurostar has suspended services between London and Paris following the discovery of an unexploded Second World War bomb near tracks in the French capital. The disruption has affected thousands of passengers, with at least 10 services cancelled on. One passenger said, "We heard something in French actually, but we thought it's not our train, so it couldn't be." What would be your reaction? What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.